Greetings, Star Citizens, and welcome to Flight Deck. This is a weekly podcast about Star Citizen and other gamer culture topics. I'm your host, Linkstatic MDK, and with me, as always, is Paper Thin.
Yo,
Today's topics we have Around the Verse, episode 34, the design post for the new damage system, Help the Herald, Galactic Guide, Accelerated Mass Design, 10 for the Chairman, episode 56, PAX East 2015, and This Day in History, March 10th, 2525. So let's jump right into it. I tried to put them this week in kind of the order they came out, so we'll see if
yeah,
it works better.
yeah. Well, I think that might make a little more sense because sometimes we, you know, get
Mention
to something
stuff,
that,
and yeah,
yeah, we're like, oh,
yeah.
we were going to talk about that later.
Yeah. So, with that in mind, first up was Around the Verse episode 34. This one was 33 minutes and 22 seconds long for anybody that wants to check it out and carve out the time. So they went back to having the Empire report at the beginning again. So clearly they've been listening to Flight Deck and,
Yep.
decided to go with our suggestion. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
somebody there listens to us.
So we had Charon 3. There's a civil war where peacekeeping efforts by the Senate have failed. Will the Navy have to step in? So that sounds cool. I wonder if that means there's going to be diplomatic style gameplay that they're
Yeah, I hope
planning on.
so.
Could be
That would be
interesting.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and then we have military weapons on consumer ships. Apparently, there's some mom that's irate and pleading. More than likely, their son or daughter was killed by some overly geared ship, but
Right. Probably some pirates that stole some military equipment or something.
who knows? Can never
Yeah.
tell.
Well, I mean, that one makes sense because it was one of the 10 for the chairmans recently where somebody asked about having military grade, equipment on their ships. So
Well, yeah, and it's supposed to be illegal or regulated or something like that. Yeah.
right, right.
Well, and then they also mentioned Citizen Day holiday, and I'm like, who the heck knows what happens on that holiday or what it's about? But
Yeah. We need
yeah.
some details. We need like is it
Mhm.
customary to give a gift? Like do we decorate a tree? What do we do?
Do we baste a turkey?
Yeah,
That
do
takes the
we
most preparation. Do we
do
baste
we
a
swear
turkey or
dance?
not? Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't know. What are the traditions? I need traditions.
Well, then they cut to the regular segments for the intro news. Not that much going on this week for them talking about. I think it was just mostly they were getting geared up for PAX, so it was kind of like, yeah, we're working on PAX.
Yeah.
So the Cutlass Black free flight should be over now. Sadness. Aw.
Yeah, that's too bad.
The Orion minigame people have been playing, but it sounds like Ben Lesnick was like you and me, where it's like, yeah, I played it a little bit, but I didn't get a badge. I didn't play it that lot. Um, well, and then they have the Spectrum Weekly Rundown, which they've started doing, which is kind of like a weekly overview that they're posting to the website, which is kind of cool. So it's kind of like their Spectrum news that they do in Around the Verse, but more of a written format, so we get a little bit more information.
Right. Which is a nice thing to have.
Yeah. Well, I usually skim it. I don't read the whole thing, but I skim to at least know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then they cut to Spectrum News, or their news from around the verse, I think they called the segment. First up, we had Santa Monica, California, which was the P-52 Merlin. They were talking about was undergoing the modeling update due to having like all the stuff in game that they didn't have when they first made it. So,
Yeah.
the systems, engines, blah blah blah.
It
Which
was always a little weird looking, so I'm hoping they'll address that.
no, it's still gonna be weird looking.
I know it kind of reminded me of like I don't even know, like some kind of like over stylized like hot rod car or something. It
You know
just
what
looked
I thought it
really
looked like? Bobsled, almost
bobsled.
like a spaceship bobsled or something
Yeah,
like
man.
that. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
can see that. I can see that. I agree with you there. It's a little bobsleddy.
I don't know. Well, and then
Anyway,
they did go on to talking about some weapon standardization they were doing. Essentially, this is like their precursor to making all their parts standardized. So, like, this is what the size will be. This is what the power requirement will be. So, their artists, their developers will kind of have an idea of, okay, this is what I have to work with, and have more
yeah.
standardized metrics. Which, makes sense. I thought they would have already done it. So that kind of surprised me. I'm like, wait, this isn't standardized already? All right.
Yeah, I think they just must have needed to flesh out a lot of the, like damage statistics, like
Hmm.
lasers do this much damage to this type of material, and ballistics they move this fast and do this much damage, all that stuff. And I think that's why they might have waited to standardize, just to
I
see
guess.
how things were working in AC first, get some metrics, and then say, okay, here's how we think things are gonna pan out, instead of just trying to take a crack at it,
No,
before.
you
I don't know.
randomly take a crack at it and guess. That's my model that I go by.
Right? You just get the shotgun out,
I I don't have a
whatever hits.
plan ever. I just randomly hit buttons, and if it works, great. People that work with me are like, "No, he's the most anal person I've ever met."
I was gonna say, when you put your mind to it, you're
I'm
you're
so
you're pretty thorough.
I'm pretty anal. I'm not even. Yeah. There's no thoroughness. It's to the stage of being pedantic is the level I go to. Anyway, they also have the Vanguard is in concept stage, so it's out of the sketch stage and now it's in the concept model stage, which is their long-range deep space fighter that they were talking about. So
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, very cool.
I mean, the one thing we don't really need though is another fighter. I'm just gonna come right out and say it. We've got a lot of fighters as it is.
Yeah, I think we're hopefully a little fightered out, so to speak. I hope.
Of course, in 2 years after the PU's been out, we're gonna be like, we could use some more fighters.
Right?
So, I mean, there's that, but I kind of want to see more transport sized ships and a greater variety there than I do in fighters at this point.
Yeah, and it sounds like at least they'll be heading down that with the hull variants, A through E.
Yeah,
So at
that's
least we
true.
got that. We got that working for us.
Mhm. Well, and then they cut from Santa Monica to Austin, Texas, where they talked to the guys there. So first up, they talked about props. Apparently, there's a giant radar prop that they're making for space stations. So look out for that in the verse when we see space stations. Um, a bartender has been done on the art side and is being skinned currently and will be in the social module. So when we're running around,
Ooh,
we'll be able to see the bartender NPC that they've been working on for a while.
very cool.
Yeah. Then PAX East and South by Southwest, they're sponsoring a party apparently at South by Southwest. So, if you're in the Austin area, you know,
Oh, that'll be so fun.
check out the party.
Yeah,
I don't have any more details than that. If you live in Austin, figure it out yourself. And then they also apparently were talking a bit about the alien languages, and I guess alien languages has been something in the back of my mind that obviously they're working on, but we haven't really heard much about them. So it's kind of
yeah.
cool to know that they've got all these linguists working behind the scenes designing them.
That actually is really, really cool. I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, when they said this, I'm like, oh, of course, awesome. Can't wait to hear what like the Jean talk like and the Vandal and all that. I'm sure the Vandal will be very Klingon-esque.
I don't know. I would laugh my ass off if a Vandal yelled over the Com Kapla while attacking us. We're like,
That
okay,
would be hilarious.
okay, all right. And
Ah,
I'm done. Somebody pay Gene Roddenberry's family an exorbitant
oh
amount of
yeah.
money. Well, and then they cut from Austin, Texas to Foundry 42, where the guy who was working there, whose name I did not write down, so I don't remember it, I apologize, was essentially talking about their data forge and all of the design that went into that for containing the game's data and using their XML system. And essentially, he's designed a system that makes it easier for them to propagate down their data. You know,
Right.
that's the short version of his long-winded explanation, which I thought was very informative, but at the same time, it's super boring to just rehash what he talked about.
Yeah, we don't really need to rehash it. If you're into that kind of stuff, go ahead and watch the video. It is interesting, but I don't need to delve into it much further.
Yeah. Oh, and then they cut over to Ophonic, where they were talking about the FPS metagame and gain all the types of weapons and armor set up, setting up the leaderboards for the behind the scenes so you can kind of keep track of your kill to death ratio and all that. I wonder if they're also going to record hit rate. I hate that because I never have a good hit rate. I have usually an okay kill to death ratio, but as soon as my hit percentage just shows up, I'm just like, oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm the exact opposite. I have really good like hit percentages, but like so kill to death ratios in well, at least in PC first person shooters. Xbox is different, but
You know,
I hit a lot of targets. I just don't kill them as much as I should, probably.
considering this is supposed to be like a different style, yeah, it's Counter Strike, but it's not really Counter Strike because it actually matters if you die. Um, like I'm wondering if like that's going to like completely skew our normal stats that we have going into FPS combat.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're used to run and gun, type first person shooters where we can just kind of be
Well, that's
a little
that's
more aggressive than we
that's because of
should.
Halo and like the
Well,
God mode
yeah,
of jumping into the middle of a bunch of guys and like spinning around and killing them all in 2 seconds.
right. And the shields, those
Yeah, and
help.
the shields. Like, although I've always really liked Rainbow Six and that
Yes.
style of gameplay too. But like,
Yes.
I don't know like if this is gonna be a merge of the two or how it's going to play. So
It did look somewhat Rainbow Six esque, I guess. Um, at least in the way like the guns kind of shot
right,
and
and the
and
cover
worked.
mechanic and all that they're talking
Yep.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's good. I like those games too. Vegas was a lot of fun. I
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
great at it, but it was fun.
Oh, I love
Um,
Vegas so much. I still have it.
yeah. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm very much looking forward to it. Loved the little grappling hook type things they had, the mini tractor beams or whatever.
Oh, I'm not going to talk about those yet. I'm going to talk about those when we get down to PAX East.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, talk about those later.
Yeah. So on top of the leaderboards, the metagame, they're also doing the rec system integration, all the stuff that goes on with that, and then in general, they were doing a bunch of bug killing that week for preparation of PAX.
Yep.
Which I didn't see that many bugs when they
No,
demoed it. So good job, guys.
no, it looked pretty clean.
Of course, who knows what happened afterwards when they turned the cameras off and gave it to the
Right.
players. So
I didn't hear anything on like Reddit or the forums really of
well,
people who were there.
I heard some
Um,
people that liked it, some people that didn't like it, and, reasons why, but like it's hard to judge because this is such an early iteration. Who knows what it will be like in like
right,
6 months? It
right.
might play completely differently.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, and then they also had MVP next, so that was pretty much it for the Spectrum news. Their MVP this week was Crash, who with his Thread and Android app, essentially detailing all the ships. So if you have an Android phone, check it out. You can browse the ships from your phone. Then they also did an organization, the Musicians, who are apparently working on a second fan soundtrack. So
That'd be
there you
cool.
go.
I can't wait to hear that. I'm a big
Uh,
music nerd, so
I know.
that'll be good.
Like anytime there's something music related, I always feel bad because you're all like, "Oh, this is really cool for this," and I'm just like, whatever. And like my roommate in college, who's a really good friend of ours as well, was a music major and he teaches music, and like that's the one thing. It's like, and he's talking about music. I'm just gonna like stare to the side now.
just smile and nod.
Yeah, when you
Just
when
smile
you
and
two get
nod.
together and it's like, well, progression and harmonics, blah 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 blah. I'm like, this must be what it's like when I start talking about like programming crap.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then we had interview after that with Justin Binford, who's the QA manager, I think, stateside. So, in general, interesting interview, but at the same time, because I do a job very similar to this, I was also like, yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't. It was. It's interesting to see how much time and effort these guys put in, and major props to them because they really do bend over backwards for this game.
well, yeah, and
Um,
you don't if you the thing about QA is like if they do their job well, you'll never know they even existed.
yeah, and I think they do. So far I've been impressed with what they've done.
Yeah, everything just works magically. There's never any problems.
Oh, never.
Never. Well, so some highlights from the video interview. He was talking about working late nights testing, kind of leveraging the community to help with the bug testing. So they look at the chats, the forum posts that people leave. They are also talking about integrating a bug tracking solution with the website to kind of make it easier to track bugs and for people to post and stuff like that. So that's a good idea.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And then they do have some bug moderators that go along with that who apparently work with Jeff Clark, closely. So
Yeah.
the in-depth kind of behind the scenes that some people that are related to bugs would probably know, and I haven't done any bug testing for them because I'm usually not up to it after my day job.
Yeah, I don't bug test for them. I just play.
Well, he was also saying that the persistent test universe has been super helpful with bug testing too, because then they see a lot more of them earlier.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. Props to everybody who's playing in the PTU and helping out there. That's nice.
hmm Well, and then also some of the lessons learned is their checklist of things they need to check every time there's a new deliverable or has gone up immensely, apparently.
Yeah, I would imagine that was kind of funny.
Well,
I
it's
was
like
like, I don't even want to see that checklist. I'm sure it's like uh, 45 pages long.
well, where I work, every time we do a new release or development, we pretty much have like a general test plan that we always use. It's like, okay, let's make sure none of this broke, and then let's check the new stuff. And that's
Yeah, we usually like from our IT department when we release new stuff into the wild, like maybe a new Windows patch or whatever, we'll release it to our department first, and then a few like select users who are more tech savvy,
right.
and like not tell them and just see
And
if they have problems.
and they'll be like, "Hey guys, I'm all of a sudden getting this error I wasn't getting
Yeah.
2 days ago." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll release it in the wild. And 90% of the time when we release it in the wild, there are problems anyway, but
Yeah.
we try.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, nah, then they went from the interview to this week's Sandy's flight school, which was kind of strange to start with. Like that whole
Yeah.
that whole juicing thing
That was
was long and drawn out and kind of unnecessary, I have to say.
it was really awkward. It was
Like, I feel like that could have been cut down to like a 30-minute segment of just them adding a bunch of random crap to the juicer, and that would have been fine.
yeah, it was weird. That's the best I got. It was weird.
Like the whole him cutting for like 2 days, then them adding a bunch. Like, really, the joke you could have gotten across with just adding all the stuff to the juicer. You didn't need all that prep ahead of time.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, and then they had the Breaking Bad intro following
Yeah.
that, which had so this time they covered radar, hit predict, lasers versus ballistic, and it looked like Sandy's actually getting better. She hit the target and was able to fly around and all that. So,
Yeah.
yay!
Yeah. You're
Every
good.
little bit helps.
Awesome.
You catch that one comment where she's like, "You do this every day, all day."
She vastly underestimates nerds.
Just amazingly, it's like, dude, I could do that all day, every day, and not even notice the day is
I know.
left.
It's like,
You know?
Sandy, if you have any idea how many hours I put into X-Wing and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Oh man, and I don't even. Yeah, speechless. Then they had their outro, which they talked about PAX East yet again. Then they did the design pieces that were upcoming. There's the weapon mount revamp, which they mentioned a bit at PAX, but I haven't seen a design post on. Then
Yeah.
the new damage system, which we're actually going to be talking about next. So
Let's do it.
let's do it. Oh, and then the art sneak peek at the very end of this one was the various types of
Oh,
mobiGlas.
I
Yeah.
almost forgot about that because I was like, cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So, the new damage system, they actually have a video out on their channel and the website, and it's inside the PAX East presentation too.
So
It's all over the
cool.
place, so you can see it everywhere.
So cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I like that we can write our names in chips now, so that's a plus.
Among other things that we could write on ships.
Yes, but the most important thing is that you can write your name in bullets on chips.
I don't know, man. There's going to be a lot of penises drawn.
Oh man, if you are that talented with your targeting that you can hit a mobile ship and draw a penis on it, I will surrender every time I see you on radar. I'll just be like, take my stuff, I don't care. I'm done.
I'm out.
About that would be amazing. The level of artistry involved and technical expertise to draw.
I can't wait to see the YouTube videos.
God. Well, so they've done a complete revamp to record the impacts and kind of dynamically add all these dents and burn marks with the new damage system. They have 4 categories that they're using to record damage by. There's the temperature, which is essentially your hull temp of your ship. Burn, which is the hull temperatures has been burnt, so the number for that metric. Thickness, which is how much of the hull remains, including like I think the paint goes first, and then it starts to go to the metal underneath. Then you have deformation, which is going to be how much physical force has been impacted to bend and distort the section. So will the ship bend or will it break, and so forth. Um, so some of the
It's
benefits,
crazy. That's a crazy amount of detail.
yeah, some of the benefits looks cool. Firstly, and you can have
Yeah.
different effects based on the types of ammo with this too. So instead of just ships always breaking apart the same way, they'll break apart differently based on the type of ammo that's used and size and heat and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Well, and then they also apparently uses 4 times less memory per ship, which translates to better performance, which translates to happier player base. So, and happier graphics card designers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, when I play Arena Commander, the only time I hit any choppiness is really when like
The
ships are
load.
getting damaged or yeah.
Load
Well, the
on,
load.
yeah, the
The
load
load
when
is
the ship
bad.
new wave comes in or whatever it
Yep.
is. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes in like big time combat when lots of stuff is getting damaged, I do get a little slowdown, but
I'm usually okay until there's like all of a sudden 4 ships hypering in or something at the same
right.
time. That's when I hit the hiccup. Well, then we also have new tools that they've developed with this. There's a particle and squib effects that they're using to give the appearance of like the hull blowing away and breaking off. So that's kind of been like a team effort between some of their technical expertise and artistry designers and so forth. Um, so next steps then, and now that we have all this in place, is they're going to be optimizing it to make it even faster, and you can have many more ships, and now that they've got
Yay.
all this in place, so that's cool.
Yay.
Yay, more ships. And then they also have the future is they're going to incorporate their ghost system and add additional effects with upcoming lighting and particles and stuff like that. So
My God, it's
damage
already
is,
super gorgeous.
yeah, I thought it looked great. I thought they were done. Frankly, I'm like, this looks good. I'd sign off on that. And no, we're
I
gonna
know.
do more. Okay. Yeah,
Okay then. All
yeah.
right.
So the new damage system looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
Gotta
very
say.
cool.
Yeah. Can't wait until that's put on every ship because right now it's only on the Gladius, I want to say, and
Yeah.
I think another ship they were adding, but I can't remember what it was.
Avenger?
I don't
I
know.
don't remember. I
And
know for sure the Gladius. Yeah.
they plan to go back and redo all the old ships, they were saying too, so that'll be interesting.
Right.
Then the Help the Herald campaign is done. It's 100% decrypted. Did you see the picture that they decrypted?
Yeah. I thought for sure it was going to be a gun, like when it wasn't decrypted.
When it was at like 50% because it looked
Yeah.
so weird.
Yeah. I went and looked at it when it was 50%, and I tweeted from our Twitter account, the Help the Herald hashtag, and I was like, "This is a gun. This is gonna be like some like
Nope.
Jean gun or something." God, it's not
Nope.
Jean. It's Xion now. I hate that.
Xi'an.
Anyway,
Xi'an.
that's Xion. Xion.
Xi'an.
God. Ah.
It's gonna take you like a year to correct yourself.
It literally is.
Well, you've been
Anyway,
saying it one way for so long, yeah.
yeah, for over a year because I've
It's
owned
like
one for over a
it'd
year.
be like if you called Klingons for like a long time and then you heard it correct finally, and you're like, oh, I guess I need to
Or the
change
Rhodians, the Rodians.
the Rodians. Oh man, those fucking Rodians. They're such a pain in the butt.
Yeah, but anyway, uh, what were we talking about?
We were talking about what the actual picture was. It's not a gun.
Oh,
It's
not a
the
gun.
Starfarer cockpit. So it's concept art for
Yep.
that, and I thought it looked really cool. I like the layout. Like I like the two forward seats, and they got the two back seats, and then kind of like the captain's seat in the middle. That like goes downward. It looked cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought, I thought it looked like a gun, but I'm kidding.
I still think it's a
I
gun.
still think it looks good. No, I thought it looked cool. I liked it. And I thought it was a coul little thing to do. I think it was a good idea, like, marketing wise, to spread a hashtag that might trend on Twitter. People
Well,
might notice the game more.
yeah, they can see how long it takes to trend. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
well, then they had up next the Galactic Guide, Accelerated Mass Design, AMD, AMD. Oh, oh man,
I
I
think we
don't know
both
where that
just got the same bug. I
I don't know where that
even
came
though-
from. Oh
Even
man,
though we're like 200 miles apart, like.
yeah, that was crazy. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so a little background on Accelerated Mass Design. It was formed in 2899 by Sander Cat and 6 other engineers. They are renowned as a high-end electronics design and tuning company. They came out with their first product in 2901, so like 2 years after they were formed, and then by 2920 they had signed a 2-decade deal with Anvil Aerospace, leading to civilian versions of military ships being launched. So your F-7C Hornets, your Gladiuses, etc. So
Right.
thanks to AMD, we have those nice things. Is I think what they're trying to say. Then by 2940, they left their deal with Anvil behind so they could help out. Uh, well, so this was kind of like a long convoluted, but essentially they could not keep up with the demand, and they didn't want to lose brand status by having all these outside contractors supplying substandard parts and all this stuff. So they're like, no, we're done with this.
Yeah.
Then from there, they went to team up with Consolidated Outland to help with their Mustang development, and that led to their own special variant called the Omega, which is I think like the better racer version that's cost more.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Then two engineers highlighted in that were Bryce Halliday and Jennifer Akers, who worked with Silas Koner's Mustang team and apparently are uncredited with their huge contribution that they put in their,
Oh.
dicks.
Yeah, jerks.
Jerks. Apparently they were just quote unquote consultants. So
Consultants never get any credit, man.
no, they don't. So this was kind of interesting. Little background on like another one of the companies out there. They were saying also at the end that AMD might release a ship of their own in the future. So I'm wondering what it would be if it's supposed to be like all high end and super expensive. What could it? What would they end up releasing?
Yeah, that's interesting. I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe it ties in with their next generation of graphics card. Just,
Oh
hey,
God.
buy our graphics card.
You
and
get
a
this shit
Star
for free.
Citizen ship. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised.
Oh man.
Not that I don't know if it would encourage me to buy AMD or not. I've always been NVIDIA,
Yeah, me too.
so I don't know.
I mean, it's cool, it's cross promotion, it's marketing, etc. And like, I like that they're taking real life companies and incorporating them into their world, in
Right,
some way. But at the same time, it's shameless plug. So
right.
there you go. Then from there, we went to the 10 for the Chairman, episode 56. This one was 20 minutes and 32 seconds long. So let's jump right into the questions this time. So we had the first question up was about starting wars between the different races. So,
No, they're race kerfuffles, Mike.
race
Race
kerfuffle,
kerfuffles.
whatever. So essentially, the question was if we keep attacking the Banu or the Xi'an enough, will that cause some sort of race kerfuffle? And then, all of a sudden the Banu and the Xi'an are at war with the UE or something. And no, not really. They'll be at war with you, it sounds like. And maybe the UE will even help them and also hunt you down because you're a dick. So there you go.
Yeah, I thought that kind of made sense. I mean, it would kind of be bizarre if like a small, organization could just go and harass the Vandal all day. Well, we're already at war with the Vandal. The
No
Taveran.
change there.
Yeah, no change there. Like the Taveran or something that we're not technically at war with, and like just cause a massive galactic war. It's like, well, that doesn't really make sense. So I thought this was a reasonable answer.
Is that kind of like a confirmation bias, though, where you've got, oh, well, the Vandal and the humans are at war. I guess it worked out. My plan succeeded.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. So he should have said, yes, if you attack the Vandal, they'll be at war with the humans. That would have been such a great answer.
That would have been good.
So next question after that was about using tractor beams defensively. Can I use my tractor beam to stop a missile mid-flight? And he's like, I guess, but it'd be super hard. Why don't you just shoot it?
I mean, it's not a bad question in a way because
well, those retaliator missiles are freaking ginormous. Maybe you can stop
Right.
one of those.
exactly, and also sometimes you might have tractor beam turrets instead of a weapon turret that someone's manning and you're like mining or something, and all of a sudden there's missiles coming in. Well, crap, got to try and stop them somehow. So
Yeah.
it sounded like you could do it if you're good enough. So
Yeah, but
luck.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I've seen people shoot down missiles
Oh
with
yeah,
some
I've shot down
success
missiles too,
in
but it's
AC.
really
Yeah,
hard.
it is.
They move so fast, and you got to be right on them.
Right.
Well, and they also have can you fly while docked to another ship? So this was a question essentially where essentially, you know, I know what they're thinking, like, will it rip open like the airlock or some crap like that too? You
Right.
know. So essentially they've made it so you have to cut engines to dock and you can't be flying. The only like exception to this is if you're docking into a quote unquote parent ship, so like a fighter going into a carrier, or apparently the Retaliator going into the Bengal. So
Yeah,
that made me go, ooh, that's gonna be cool.
that would be cool.
That'll be awesome to see in game.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed by this. I mean, can't we just match relative velocities and then dock? I mean, I understand not wanting to accelerate or decelerate while you're docked to another ship because, I'm sure the docking couples aren't made to take that kind of force. But I mean, if we match relative velocities, we should be able to dock, right? Because anyway. I understand it's probably just not,
I
easy
have a
to do.
solution. Let's do Top Gun style where one of us is inverted, and then we eject into each other's cockpits.
Yes.
That'll work, right?
Yeah, we're gonna totally James Bond it.
Oh,
Frickin'
that did not end well for that fighter that James Bond did that to. It was still cool though. So then they had the next question was how will NPCs react to weapons? So like if you pull out a gun, will the NPCs cower, run away, etc. Essentially, yeah, the NPCs will react to your weapons if you decide to pull out your gun in their face. And maybe the cops will show up. Maybe they'll pull out their own guns and shoot you. you know,
Yep.
kind of depends on the area you're in, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, then another question was about playing historical battles in Arena Commander, which doesn't sound like right away they'll have, but eventually maybe after everything else is in that they want for the Simpod, they could add historical battles.
Yeah, I guarantee whoever asked this question has played a boatload of like World War II flight sims and like Vietnam War or Korean War flight sims and stuff. Just
Well,
recreated Mig Alley like
a lot of
100 times and
yeah. Well, a lot of those games in general will do
oh yeah, they do.
historical combats and things like that. So yeah,
Yeah, they totally do.
it'll be
And
interesting.
they're fun. They're fun. Don't get me wrong. I'd like to see them in Arena Commander, but like don't don't worry about it for a while, Chris.
Well, I'm,
Just
I'm wondering if they're going to do like the Olympus historical battle because they've talked about that one.
ooh,
Where you're in
yeah,
the Gladius and like the ship's crashing and you try and take out as many Vandal or pirates. I forget. I think it was
that would
pirates
be
as
cool.
you can.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah. Well, and then they also have DirectX 12 plans. What's their plans for that? And essentially, they're in discussion. We're trying to figure out what we're planning to do. yeah,
Right.
it did sound like they had anything definitive yet.
Well,
Uh,
that makes sense.
Follow-up question after that was drop pods for soldiers. No, we're not planning to do drop pods. We're using drop ships. Sorry.
I kind of like that better.
I don't know. I'm torn because I still remember like the badass moment of Halo 2 of dropping in with like the ODSTs and taking that place. And at the same point, it's like, yeah, but it's really cool to fly in with a Pelican too and drop out the back of that. So it's like, oh, they're both so cool. I want them all.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to maybe have drop pods out of drop ships. Maybe that would be cool. Like you can
Yeah,
hover over a battle and drop people in.
right.
Um, but I think it'd be because I think the intent of this question was more drop pods from space. You know what I mean? So like you could
Yeah,
be
so
up
you
in
don't have to
space and
land. Yeah,
yeah, instant them. Send them to an instance down on the planet. And I kind of agree that we really shouldn't be doing that. That would
that'd be
be weird.
weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be cool. But it'd be weird.
Yes, it would be cool.
Yeah. Well, if you could, like, I think your solution where you have like a combination of the two, you got the drop ship that brings in the drop pods would be fine as well.
Yeah.
Well, and then we also have after that flying ships while limbs are damaged. So you're in FPS combat, and like you get shot in the arm or you get shot in the leg, and like then you go to your ship and you try and pilot around. So it sounds like if you have a damaged arm or leg or limb or whatever, it will affect how you fly. So you might not be able to pull the joystick as hard or adjust your throttle as quick or anything like that.
Right. That's
So
intense.
yeah, don't get shot is the moral of the story.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and then using characters as crewmen. I'm sorry, but this is like the fourth time this question has been asked in 10 for the chairman or some variation of this question. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah,
You can use your damn characters as crewmen, but you have to pay them. End of story. Can we not have this question ever again?
There was a new wrinkle. We could choose what they look like, so we could make our crew look like the crew of Serenity. We could have
You
Mal
can't see it, but I'm doing the
Jade.
circle jerk motion with my hand right now. All right.
I think this is
This
the
is-
most angry you've ever been on this podcast.
I'm so sick of hearing this stupid question. I'm sorry. Like if you're a subscriber, my entire like thing for subscribers is that they probably know as much as I do or a little bit more because they get more content than us, right?
I would hope so.
So why the hell are you asking the same question that's been asked 4 times previous? Like it's not even been that long. I think it was like 10 for the chairman episode 52 was the last time this was asked. You
Yeah,
know?
it wasn't too long ago.
And like before that one, it was about the same distance, maybe 4 or 5 episodes. So it's like every single time. Ugh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I'm right there with you. I feel like this is a question that people just need to wait and then, see how it works in game, and then from there, because we have plenty of information about how it works already, then we could ask other questions or give ideas or whatever. Just for now, let's drop it. Let's worry about Arena Commander and FPS and, and all that stuff.
You know what's gonna totally happen is they're gonna ask us in like 10 for the chairman episode 58. It's like, hey, I know we can use our characters as crewmen. Do we have to pay them? Couldn't we like just log in and say I don't have to like get paid on each of them and then not pay them?
Because then I could just log in as my other crewman and transfer the money over to my other guy. So, like, what's
Right.
the point?
God.
Well, when that happens, in the inevitability that we have another using your other characters as crewman question, I say we prepare a rant.
But do you have to
Some
pay
kind.
them is the question.
Someone's got to pay us for our rant, damn it. I need money.
Anyway, moving on to the last question, which wasn't a rehash. Although it kind of was, actually. That's
A little bit.
Yeah. So bounty hunters and known associates. So the way bounty hunting is going to work is you won't necessarily be, oh, this person's located here, but you'll be given a list of people that you can talk to and find out their location, or you'll be given like a list of locations where they might be located, and then you go there to find them. So talked about a little bit, but it was also a little bit more in depth than he'd previously gone. So, yay.
Yeah, it was a good question that helped kind of nail down some of the intricacies of bounty hunting that he hadn't talked about. So,
Yay.
a reasonable question about a topic that's already been brought up.
Anyway, then they have the sneak peek where the picture was essentially, it looked like a marketplace, like a dirty industrial marketplace. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too. Okay, I like that. I like
Yeah.
that kind of grimy, kind of, like.
It's probably not
But-
Antera.
Yeah. I kind of like that Blade Runner sort of feel.
Yeah. Hopefully without the like artificial humans running around trying to kill you thing, but you know.
I hope there are artificial humans trying to kill me.
Well, you'd be the first. Well, maybe you need to talk to Harrison Ford on that and get his, tips on how to deal with it.
Yeah, maybe I'll go visit him in the hospital.
Aw.
So see how he's doing.
Aw.
Ask him about that. I mean, I for one welcome our artificial human overlords.
Aw.
So.
God. Well, then let's get to the nitty gritty, what everybody cares about for today's episode, which is the PAX East 2015. So, first up, PAX East 2015, they talked about Star Citizen 1.1.0 on the PTU. So they are going with Star Citizen now and not just, because it's more than just Arena Commander, so when they do a release from now on, it's going to be Star Citizen,
Yep.
So some of the things coming with 1.1 is multiplayer free flight, so you can fly around, you can land, you can jump into each other's ships, which we're totally going to try, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Gimbal mounts will have some changes. So gimbals will now reduce weapon size by one. So if you have a size 2 mount with a size 2 gimbal, that gimbal can hold size 1 weapons. So
Yep. I
there
like
you
that
go.
change.
Yep, and it makes it a little bit better, I think.
Yep.
There's electronic access. EA. I think I saw on Reddit shots fired or something.
Yes.
Yeah. EA, bought out by Origin, where you'll be able to use your rec to rent items. So it's their in-game rental service, Electronic Access. I
That
want
was really funny.
that was, oh man, nobody likes EA.
No.
Yeah,
EA doesn't like EA.
yeah. Like, oh man, I've got a
They just
job. Where do you
they
work?
just
I don't want to say.
yeah, and they just frickin' shut down Maxis. So mad.
Oh
They
man,
ruined Maxis. Ugh. Ugh.
it
Anyway.
won't be the last thing they ruin.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, the damage tech revamp they talked about a bit too. So this is the new system we mentioned before in the design post. The damage video that we'd mentioned before was also played at this point, and then they wrote into the Gladius in the hangar RSI if you're paying attention. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then they talked about the Retaliator, and how it is now hangar ready and coming in with 1.1. And then they showed the Retaliator video, and then I
Ugh.
just kind of drooled for however long that video is. I don't even know. I blacked out from pure awesomeness.
There was much looking at my wallet than looking at the screen and looking at my wallet.
Dude, like I was telling my brother, I'm like, oh man, that Retaliator commercial was like the hardest thing to get through without buying one.
It's true.
'Cause
And the fact that it's already going to be hangar ready, it's like, oh my god.
it looks so good, man.
I
Like
know.
it's making me go, do I smelt my
Right? What
do I
do I
smelt my stuff to get it? I don't know.
I know, it's like I have my Constellation, which I really like, but
Well, what's your Constellations crew? It's like 4, right? And that thing's
oh,
6. So,
I don't remember.
you just got to get 2 more friends than you do for the Constellation to fly it.
Screw friends.
Just buy NPCs.
Yeah.
Well, and then, the best part is at the end when Chris Roberts is just staring there and he's got this like epic nerd smile at the end, like this evil grin of like, yes, it's awesome.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is yeah. Chris just is clearly getting very excited. Like for a while, I felt like he was kind of burnt out, and
running through the motions. Yeah.
yeah, and now he is really just fired up.
Well, and he sees stuff that we don't even see. So he's like seeing all
Right.
this stuff that like they mentioned, like all the mocap stuff. I bet there's some sweet stuff for Squadron 42 that we have no idea on that like he's seen daily.
Right. Hey, speaking of,
Speaking of,
speaking of, give the animation update.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So the next thing they talked about was kind of the ground war stuff that they're putting in the FPS stuff, which will be out 2 to 3 weeks. They
Fingers
tentatively
crossed.
fingers
Fingers
yeah
crossed.
end of March, which was what they said originally. So
Yeah.
they're maintaining it. With that, like you mentioned, animation update. So they're redoing the skeleton and rig. So now the animations will use real models and have muscles and be way more detailed and look way better. And with that, they're getting more realistic movement and weapon handling. So like you draw your weapon, it's realistic. They're also hiring all these like former military guys to do the mocap for them for these motions too. So that's cool.
Yeah, this is where they showed the video of the new animations compared to the old, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, it looks so much better.
They had
I
like
didn't
the
think the old ones even looked bad. At the
no,
time I was like, oh yeah, it looks pretty good.
yeah, it looks good. Yeah, yeah. And now it's much lighter. The HUD's much improved. They didn't have any sound though, so you had the annoying
Right.
crowd like yelling crap at the screen. Like some of them were funny, most of them were just annoying and
Yeah.
like trying too hard to be funny.
Right. But it's amazing how much better it looks.
But yeah,
You
and
know.
like the characters' motions look way more like
Yeah.
it's still a little off. I feel like there's something about the gait that doesn't seem quite right on the walking. That
Yeah.
said, it still looked really good.
Right. There's kind of a weird center of balance thing going on.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he was hunched a little too bit left and so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But hey,
It's so good.
it is still awesome.
It's like everything I see just makes me regret not playing it right now. This second. Well, and then upcoming with the Ground War stuff, they're adding more animations. So a lot of those transition animations he mentioned, more stuff with the cover system, hit and death reactions. So like you get hit in the shoulder, you get hit in the face, you get hit in the like leg. You know, how do you react? They've got crouch movement, prone movement, a lot of, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Awesome excitement. You know,
Get hype.
get. I am the hype. Well, then the overall goal is essentially to make it feel real and look real, and make the zero G movement and animations look good, and like do all this groundbreaking crap. So, yay!
Yay.
And then they mentioned Interdimension Software, or ID. God. And then they're releasing Star Marine, which is the simulator you play in the SimPod. So, I like their little homage to Duke Nukem.
Yep. And obviously
the-
ID reference to Doom.
Yeah. So.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was well placed and everything. Yeah. So let's talk about some of the other stuff that they mentioned, which I have a ridiculous sum of notes for.
Yeah.
so so in Star Marine, you'll have all this various equipment. So they got armor types. So these are all tentative and apparently going to be reworked in a couple of months anyway. But let's talk about what they got right now. So 3 types of armor. You've got light armor, medium armor, and heavy armor. So your light armor is the most mobile, but you can take the least amount of hits. Medium is kind of like a jack of all trades armor, and then your heavy armor is you can sit there, take a ton of damage, and dish out a ton of damage. Pretty straightforward. So for light armors, we have a UE Factions PAB-4 Personal Ablative Ballistic Armor, which has mounts for 1 medium weapon and 1 small weapon. It's made by Clark Defense Systems, and it looks okay. You know, I didn't think it was anything amazing,
Yeah, well,
but
none
you
of
know,
them really were to me, but that's just me.
yeah,
They're all whatever.
yeah. That we'll see what they look like with like Hello Kitty stickers on the arm badges and stuff like that. Yeah, because they're gonna let us paint hulls for ships. I assume they're gonna let us paint armors and stuff like that too.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
So yeah.
Frickin' have Neon Cat flying across your breastplate. Like,
That'd be awesome. Well, then the outlaw version of the light armor was called the Hyperion Special, and unlike the UEE ones, they don't have manufacturers. They have Scavenger, Koso wrote. So, you know, this armor is so crappy, we just put random parts together and we call it armor, is what they're trying to say. Then for medium armors, we had the Omni Roll Combat Armor, Orc Mark 9. For the UE, it's also made by Clark Defense. Has 2 medium weapon slots, 1 small weapon. It looked okay. It looked like the standard ones that they were showing off before.
yeah, this will probably be the type of armor that I think I'll prefer.
Yeah,
just
me too.
knowing myself, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I like having some motion and I like having a variety of weapons, so.
Exactly.
The outlaw version of this was the Privateer, which was made by Three Fingered Jack. So I thought that was, you know, I like that they have for the outlaw stuff like these random dudes who you'll probably run into in game.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jack had better only have 3 fingers. I'm just saying. Or it's like a 3-finger discount. I don't know.
It's just a metaphor.
It's just a metaphor. I have all 10 fingers, guys. Then their heavy armor for the Marines was called the Achilles. For them, it's made by Virgil Ltd. It has 1 large weapon mount, 2 medium weapon mounts, and 1 small weapon mount. And it looks kind of clunky and weird.
Yeah.
But, you know.
No.
And then the outlaw armor was Colossus. I don't know what that's short for. They didn't say. Manufactured by the Dredge as 1 large weapon, 2 medium, 1 small, just like the Marine version. So, you know.
Yep.
They looked interesting. I agree. I'll probably run medium unless I find that like I want higher mobility and then I'll run light. I usually don't like running slower, heavier armors typically because I rely more on cover than I do armor.
Right, and I feel like especially without gravity, I feel like the heavy armor is going to be not as good. So for
Right.
like the arena to start out with, might not be as
Well,
useful unless you can like use the large weapons to destroy like
so
cover easy. I don't know.
so my understanding for the arena is it's all pistol and light armor. You don't like you
Oh
only would be
really?
able to use these on the Gold Horizon map, which is more of the standard
Oh,
FPS. And the
I
arena
see.
was you just have the laser pistol with the grapple beam, and that's it.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
I mean, that's my understanding. I think that's because the arena is such a weird map that to make it fair, they just force you all to have the same equipment.
Yeah, that could be. That would make sense.
So let's
I'd be
talk.
totally fine with that. Just
Let's
saying.
let's just say it. Let's talk gun porn. So weapons. We have the Gemini LH-85. It's a combustion pistol. Ballistic ammo. It's held in one hand. It's a mag size of 13, a reload time of 2. Who knows what that means? An effective range of around 30 meters, and its weapon size is considered small. So,
Hooray!
yay.
It's a pretty standard pistol.
Yeah, well, the Model 2 Arclight KW, designed by Klaus and Werner, is an energy laser pistol. Same thing, one-handed. Mag size for this is 90, so that to me means 90 shots before it runs out. Does not have a reload. Same effective range of 30 meters. Also considered a small weapon. And I think that's the one that I actually got with that bounty hunter package that I got with the like temperature cloak and the stun baton and all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You're probably right.
So
My question is then how many magazines can you carry for the ballistic guns? They never listed that actually. Now that I think about
they
it.
didn't list it, but it looked like 5 if you look at the HUD.
Okay,
So 5 times 15, or no, I'm sorry, 5 times 13.
68, 68,
Yeah. So,
or 65. Sorry, 65.
but ballistic weapons do more damage to armor, if I recall too.
Right.
So less shots, reload, but more damage is
Okay,
what I'm guessing is the difference between the two.
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you have the next weapon up was the Kastek Devastator 12, made by Kastek Arms. It's an electric shotgun. Another energy weapon. This one requires 2 hands. Mag size for it was 132. Also doesn't have a reload. Effective range of around 40 meters. Considered a
That
medium weapon.
that's interesting that shotgun has a longer effective range than either of the pistols.
I know, but it's an energy weapon, so I don't know. Like, I
What the
kind of feel like
spread's
it
gonna
should.
be?
I kind of feel like it should be 20 meters. Like it should be shorter but do more damage. You know.
Yeah, but
But
is it gonna be like buckshot?
it's an electric shotgun, whatever the hell that means, dude.
Right. That's kind of what I'm trying to figure out.
Like, does it shoot little buck energy pellets, or does it
Yeah, or is
literally
it
just shoot
slugs,
energy in
slugs
like
of
a wave?
energy? Yeah.
Does it look like the stun bolt that the stormtrooper shoots at Princess Leia? Is
Oh
that?
God.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll find out. I want to see what they look like when they're firing. Next gun they mentioned was the Bearing P4SC. It's a submachine gun made by Bearing. Ballistic weapon, two-handed, magazine size 30. Reload time is 3, so it's a higher reload than the pistol. So is that 3 seconds? I have no
I
idea.
would guess that's the case, but yeah.
Okay. Then the effective range on the submachine gun was 50 meters. So,
Nice.
you know, whatever. Another medium weapon. Then they have the KW ATT-4, which is the Clausen Warner laser rifle, laser assault rifle. Energy weapon again, 2 hands, mag size 300. Reload time not applicable. Effective range on this was 100 meters, so twice what you have with the submachine gun.
Get your pew pew on.
Yeah. Medium size, so like I don't. What I would like to know is rate of fire, and then for these energy
Yes.
weapons, do they overheat
Yep.
to keep the fire rate down? I assume so because they've previously mentioned that the ship weapons and the ground weapons will work the same. So
Yep.
our ship weapons overheat. My assumption is all these energy weapons overheat too.
Right. There has to be some kind of mechanic like that, and I'm right there with you. I need to know rate of fire.
Yeah.
Very important.
So yeah,
And maybe like even like some kind of like effective recoil statistic might help.
yeah.
Something like that. You know what
Well,
I mean?
do laser weapons have a recoil?
They shouldn't.
So
Well,
that's
it
another
depends.
difference between them and ballistics if they don't.
Right. They shouldn't have much recoil, I would think, but
Well, it's a laser. It's nothing
right.
propelled out except for light energy. So
Right. I'd actually be curious to see, like, the Navy is testing laser weapons now. How much, if any, there is any recoil from those weapons. I doubt there is.
I wouldn't think so. I would not imagine there would be any recoil.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, moving on. Then let's talk some grenades too. They have the MK4 frag grenade. So standard. We've seen frag grenades in every FPS game for forever. We have the DS-12 forced propulsion grenade, which apparently is used to knock people backwards. So that will be interesting.
That will be really interesting.
Like interesting. Like, can you knock people off of like second floor things and then they fall
Yeah.
down and break their legs? You know.
Heck yeah, or if somebody's behind some cover in, like,
Knock 'em into the
zero
open.
G, you knock them into the open, exactly.
Oh,
That's a really cool idea for a grenade.
yeah. Well, then we also have the EP5 EMP grenade, which is the, you can knock out other people's electronics, so HUDs, etc. That that's like I hope there's a restart. I don't want your HUD to be permanently knocked out, but like for let's say 30 seconds it's knocked out or a minute it's knocked out, or maybe you can even like turn it all back on,
Right.
you know? But you gotta
I
like
would imagine something like that'll be the case.
I just don't want it to be permanent is the only thing I worry about,
Yeah, absolutely. I
So,
doubt it will be. I can't imagine it being.
yeah. Then they also mentioned some of the equipment. They'll have an aerial denial system. I have no idea what that is. Is that like a turret that you put up, or is it like a wall?
But it's got to be a turret of some kind or something.
Maybe it's
like
a force field that like keeps people from going into an area.
Well, that's what I kind of assumed the personal shield was, but I don't know.
Well, the personal shield you use for cover. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't
I would
know.
imagine people still can't move through it then.
Yeah. Then the other two items they had was the personal med kit for healing yourself or other people. Then you also have the hologram for duplicating yourself. That would be
Okay.
interesting if like you set up like a hologram and then like people start shooting and you get behind them and shoot them in the back, that type of thing.
Yeah, it's useful, and
Yeah.
and I hate it. I hate holograms. Like, just
Because
as, like, a
you
game
always
mechanic.
get faked out. Like I
I know.
remember playing
The worst.
Reach, and you're like, kill him, kill him. And I'm like, dude, that's a hologram. And he's like, no, damn it.
I'm so prone to getting juked out by holograms. It just like
That's like every time we played against each other, I'd always take the hologram.
I know. And I'd always take Invis to make up for it, so I could
Yeah.
just scramble your radar and be like, "Fine, you're gonna send out holograms. You're not gonna know where I am."
And then you have game modes, which we talked about a little bit. So there are two game modes. First up is traditional combat at the Gold Horizon platform, which is space station. It's going to be 8v8 combat, but you can have less than that. You don't have to go the full 8v8. In there you can earn weapons, armor, etc. So with the rec credits. And then you have a damageable environment. And I would be interested to see how damageable that environment actually is. Like, can you blow up walls? Can you, like,
Well, I think
you know...
they've said in the past that walls. In fact, I remember this because I asked this question on their
the
first
Reddit, yeah.
AMA on Reddit. Yes, that walls themselves mostly won't be destroyable, but like parts of walls will be, and like crates and other objects will be, but walls will be mostly not destroyable. It sounded like so. There'll be other stuff, windows. Maybe there'll be certain parts of walls that might have like a pipe with corrosive gas going through it that you can blow up, and that does like knocks a wall section out. But from what I understand, at least, and this was 6 months ago, that most of their walls will not be destroyable, but a lot of objects will be.
Well, that's
In fact,
cool.
most.
Well, they did mention like lights and stuff, so you can shoot out lights and make it all
Yep.
dark and crap like that. So that would be
Yep.
interesting. Plus, on this map, you can disable the gravity for 0G. We saw that last year. Last year at PAX
Yeah.
Australia.
Yep.
So, and then they did a video walkthrough. So like, it seemed like the level was about 3 to 5 levels up and down to me. I wasn't quite sure though, because it's hard to tell from watching somebody else move around.
Right.
But it looked like there was a ton of places you could set up ambushes for, lots of detail, lots of like random stuff everywhere. We'll see what
Yeah,
it
looks
plays
very
like.
cool.
Yeah.
Super excited for this.
Like I hope somebody comes out with a map for it though. Like we had
Oh,
with all the Halo maps where we'd like, all right, this section's blue, this section's red, this section's we'll call
Yep.
short, this section we'll call long, you know, so we can do
Yeah.
that with
We'll
this
have
too.
to do that pretty much right away,
Well, like that'll
because
work in
otherwise we're
this
gonna
type.
get mad.
This will work in this type of scenario for like callouts, but like in the PU, we're not going to have necessarily ahead of time knowledge of the maps we go into, so we might have to start changing up our strat and how we move around. And also, we're squishier and with not as good of aim because of the way the shooting works in this too. So we might have to completely like stop being heroes and like do legitimate strategy for squad-based tactics.
Yeah, well, we definitely should. I mean, and I've had a lot of experience with that being a squad leader in Planet Side. So like we had a lot of guys in the guild that I played in, or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
that were former military, and we literally used like the same training and tactics that they used in the military for the game. Like we'd breach, buildings the same way they would in the military. We did all this stuff, and it was really effective. So we'll carry that over uh, into Star Citizen, and I think a lot of people are going to be effective if they can pick up on that quickly and actually do that. Like just treat
yeah,
this like it's a real, combat situation.
yeah. Well, like that's the one thing I worry about. Like if in PU everybody does that, but then in the sim pod they just don't give a crap because it's sim pod, you know?
There'll be plenty of that, I'm sure.
So that's the thing is like, you know, we'll still have the people running around crazy doing stupid stuff, and then we'll have the people that are like all gung ho and like professional about it. So
Right. Well, yeah, the Simpod itself will be more prone to just weird stuff because everybody knows the maps and everybody will know
right,
general strategies, kind of the meta game. So people will try crazy things, and you're right. It'll be different, but I think it'll still be fun. I think we're used to that kind of fun
yeah, that's true.
versus the other kind, so I don't think
That's
it'll
true.
bother us too much.
Yeah. Well, then we had video. I'm sorry. Then they went to the Zero Gravity Astro Arena after this,
Yeah.
which was 16v16 combat, but they only showed 4v4.
Right.
And for this one, they actually did like a demo of like people playing, so that was really cool. It looked like it was just the laser pistol plus the grappler, and you can win one of two ways: either you kill the entire enemy team, or you get through the enemy gate. And you know, Ender's Game rip off, blah 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 blah.
Right. I'm curious to see if we'll be able to move the objects that are inside of there for cover.
I
Like,
don't. It seemed like they were stationary because those guys were running
yeah,
into them all the time, and none of them
right.
moved.
I think it'd be so cool if we could move them or maybe mess with them a little. I don't know.
Well, just from looking at the combat that they did, it looked like aiming seems really hard.
Yep.
And it seems like the longer you hold those grapple beams, the faster you'll start to move. So, like, if you
Right.
time it right and like you get the angles right, you could probably fly across that arena in seconds and get to
Yeah,
the
it's
enemy
a
gate.
really slow startup though, and I
Yeah.
imagine there'll be a distance like as far as you can shoot it.
I almost feel like you need a goalie in that map too, because
Yeah.
like they were yelling from the crowd, "Go to goalie!" You know, because it's like every time I would see somebody just sneak past and then like get in there, and you couldn't turn around quick enough to catch up to them. So
Yeah, exactly.
who
I
knows what
think.
it's like with 16 on 16? That's probably like insanity.
Oh God, that's so much chaos.
I'd love it. There'd be like
I will
lasers
too.
everywhere.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well, and then they from there they talked about their schedule. By the way, that demo, if you haven't seen it, is like 15 minutes long. They did like best of 7, so it's a lot of content. Um, then they went and talked about the schedule, which was for 1.1.1. That will be the FPS module coming at the end of the month. Then you have 1.1.2, which is the social module, which they're talking about coming out with in April. Then the middle of 2015, we're going to be seeing Arena Commander 2.0, which is multi-crew. So that's like 3 months, 4 months. We get
Yeah.
multi-crew. Yay. Excitement. I mean,
Yeah. Oh my God.
yeah. It's like,
Sorry, I almost passed out from excitement.
wow. And
My
then
eyes glossed over.
well, then we have the end of 2015, which is the first episode of Squadron 42 and the pre-alpha persistent universe. So,
That's awesome. Just
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. So, wow. Yeah, there was a
Wow.
lot of really cool stuff.
I mean, this is so cool. You just Valley Girled out.
Oh my
I just want
god.
to point it out.
That was an intentional Valley Girl out. I'm just saying.
It's intentional. Yeah, sure.
Oh my god. Well, then let's talk about the last thing, which came out
Yeah.
actually
Now
last
we're done
night.
talking about the cool stuff. Talk
Hey,
about some lore.
this is the problem with putting it in order of when it came out, right here. And then there was something else that came out that nobody really cares about. So this day in history, March 10th, 2525, which is the um, yesterday. It came out like really late yesterday too. So they pretty much talk about the beginnings of the government and the formation of the Common Laws Initiative by Senator Nomi Rao, which essentially it's kind of like their Bill of Rights. These are the rights and services included in their fundamental personal freedoms. So essentially, the bill was a standardized practice for structures of products, health services, basic education, trade, travel, security forces, and yada yada yada. And it took a year to pass, which sounds very believable because their government sucks just like all the other governments have always sucked. So there you go. That I just saved you guys a read through of
Yeah, this was
that.
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Very like watered down democratic history stuff. Like cool.
Yay.
Yay.
It's like,
Yay democracy.
yeah. So we had a big week this week.
Yeah, we really did. That was so much stuff.
Well, the pack stuff alone, God,
Right.
so
Right.
much.
Well, that was a huge event. A lot of very cool stuff came out of it.
Well, I look forward. I didn't see the design post for the weapon mount revamp, but hopefully they'll
Uh,
come out
I
with
don't
something.
think it's out. Yeah, I don't think it's out yet, but I'm sure it'll come out
Yeah.
shortly.
Well, hopefully.
It'd be nice to get some more detail on that. For
Other
sure.
other than that, something I just saw like right before we logged in to
I
do our
know.
podcast was
I know. I was gonna put it in if you didn't.
oh, so my Facebook blew up with all these people sharing Con Man, the web series by Alan Tudyk. For those who don't know, Alan Tudyk played the pilot on a little loved and beloved show called Firefly that was canceled by Fox like 14 years ago, 13, I don't know, a long time ago. Um, and he's starting a project with another well-known actor from that show, Nathan Fillion, on Indigo, and they pretty much have already reached their funding goal and several of their stretch goals, and they still have 30 days yet that people can
Oh
donate
my
towards
god.
them. So,
I
like,
was wondering
I looked
when
and
I
it was
looked
like
at
one
it.
stretch
Yeah.
goal left, and
Oh my
like,
god.
yeah,
I
they,
looked at it and it was
yeah,
only like $20,000 funded, and I was like looking at the packages and like what you got out of them, and I was like,
eh.
none of them really struck me as being like super
I was just gonna do the $5 one,
desirable.
frankly.
I don't even want to give them that.
Ouch.
Not because I don't want to watch it. I've just
You're a
give
leech.
money
I
to
got
other
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like yeah, I'm a leech. What can I say? No, I think it'll be cool. I love
Well,
those two actors so
I
much.
I think it's hilarious that they already met their goal and they met several of their stretch goals and like now they just have one stretch goal left and they still have 30 days. So obviously they're gonna get all their stretch goals.
Oh, they're gonna be very funded.
They'll probably need to come out with something more, you know?
Yep.
So we'll see.
It looked like an interesting concept. Like it's about two actors, basically
They play
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah. One who is, they're both on a popular sci-fi show, and one goes on to not really do anything and just kind of tours conventions and stuff, and the other one goes on to become like an A-list actor,
Yeah.
which isn't quite right because I wouldn't call Nathan Fillion.
Oh,
an
he's not
A-list
A-list.
actor.
Yeah.
No,
He would
but
call
Alan
himself that apparently, judging from their
Probably.
intro video.
Tudyk, but like, Alan Tudyk definitely hasn't had quite the career after Firefly that Nathan Fillion had.
You know, it's sad, but he has had a really great career. It's just nobody realizes it.
Right.
Like he was Sonny the robot in iRobot, but
Yep.
you don't see his face. It's a freaking CGI.
Right. He was in Arrested Development, A Knight's Tale.
Yeah.
There's other stuff I can't even think of.
I
I'm
think
sure if I went to his
He's been in tons of
IMDb.
movies as like one-shot character here or there too.
Right.
So
Right, he's all over the place.
yeah,
He's
So,
hilarious.
he's
So is Nathan.
hilarious. So
Yeah.
it sounds like they're like leveraging all their famous buddy actor friends to be in it too. So that's hilarious.
Yeah. Did we mention what it's called? It's called Con Man.
Con Man, yeah.
Con Man.
Yeah. Let's see. They had Seth Green. They were going to have in it James Gunn, who people might know directed Guardians of the Galaxy. Felicia Day, Gina Torres, who was also on that show with them. Am I missing anybody? I probably am. I'm Probably forgetting somebody.
I don't remember now. Yeah.
Nathan Fillion's clones were in it.
It's close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, that looked really cool. I'm trying to think. Anything else?
I don't know, like the excitement of PAX and like the excitement of the Con Man series has like wiped my brain. If there was stuff I was going to talk about, I don't even remember it at this point.
The only thing I could think of is season 6 of Community starts next Tuesday.
We mentioned that trailer last week, I want to say though.
I know. I want to talk about it more.
Well, that's because you love Alison Brie to like an obsessive compulsive disorder level. Shh. Oh, I'm sure she's one of the people that listen to this podcast.
Allison, I'm sorry. No. No, well, I just really like the show in general. Like,
that too.
So, March 17th.
But mostly Alison Brie.
On Yahoo Screen. It is coming out in other countries as well on different sharing networks. I saw they're coming out in Britain and the UK as well for anybody who cares. I'm sure some Canada thing will pick it up since it's popular there too. But I'll just keep pumping it. I can't help it. I love the show so much.
Yeah. Oh, also, I picked up Besieged on Steam. Which is a sandbox builder. I think you have it too.
I do.
Where you like build stuff to complete levels. So like you can build a car, or you build like a plane, or you build like a bomb, or you build a flamethrower thing, or whatever. It's crazy. You can see YouTube's videos of what it looks like. I think it was only like $10 too, so it's pretty cheap for a game.
Yeah, it's cheap, it's funny, it's fun, it allows you to be pretty creative. You know, you just build siege weapons of varying levels of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to talk about some of the videos that I've seen, but they're pretty
because they're pretty awful. Some of the things people build are pretty awful, but they make you laugh.
It's a fun game, though, if you're into that kind of thing. You know, if you liked... It's like Kerbal Space Program, except for, like, medieval siege warfare. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, it took me like so long to get a working catapult that didn't blow up every time it fired.
Oh, I know. I know.
I'm like, I feel like this is like basic technology. I should be really good at building, you know, with my level of, you know, education, but apparently not.
No.
Oh.
It's weird. You actually have to build like supports and, you know, make like solidify your structures
and like figure out like angles and all this stuff. Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. It's a fun game though.
Yeah. So how far are you on Gungrave?
Oh, where did I get to? Episode 6, 7?
Oh, so you're still barely started.
Right. So spoiler alerts. They just joined the Millennium group.
Yep.
Syndicate or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So yeah. So I'm only in the infancy, but
yeah, you really haven't gotten far at all.
No, I've been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Episode 6 is where I'm at. But really liking it so far. Like I said, it kind of reminded me of Phantom Requiem for the Phantom, which is a show I liked. So I'm digging it, and I'm really interested to see where it goes. It seems so far away from that first episode.
I know, right? And it really like that's the thing that's like I tell everybody, don't judge it by the first episode because nothing like that first episode until later on when it all makes sense again. You know?
Right. Exactly.
Like you're gonna be about episode 19 or 20, and you're like, oh. Now I get it. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I like shows like that personally that like take a while to kind of get to where they're going. Like I find that really strange that a lot of people complain about some series. They're like, it's too long. It's like, well, if it tells a story, like I understand if it's too long, if it's like, you
Bleach.
know, Bleach or One Piece,
Naruto, One Piece, DBZ.
Right, where they're just dragging it out to make more money.
Yeah.
But like if it actually has like a story, like Legend of the Galactic Heroes, you know, where they're going somewhere, then I'm totally fine with it.
Well, the thing about Legend of Galactic Heroes is like all this stuff happens in it, but like nothing really happens unless you look at the overall arc, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's very few episodes where it's like, oh, this episode has resolved all my questions. No, it's like this 12 episode arc has resolved that question. Now let's go on to the next question, you know?
You know, but here's the thing, and I think, you know, if anybody's still listening, Legend of the Galactic Heroes is basically, in my opinion, like a better Game of Thrones in space.
Oh man, I can't even be associated with you anymore after a statement like that.
Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Game of Thrones. Absolutely love it.
You see, your problem is you're judging Game of Thrones based on the show.
This is true.
If you had read the books, you'd be like, I am a foolish, foolish mortal who has made such a grave injustice upon the universe by comparing the two that
Well,
it
you have
is
to
just
keep in
wrong.
mind. You have to keep in mind that Legend of the Galactic Heroes was originally novels too. There's a lot that isn't in the show, so
Okay, so that's fair.
they're somewhat
All right,
similar.
all right.
But you're right. Well, let me put it this way. I am comparing the shows, not the books.
Okay.
I actually haven't read the Legend of the Galactic Heroes
See,
books because
I don't-
nobody's really translated them.
I don't feel like I can be fair if I judge the show because as much as like I appreciate the Game of Thrones show, I hate it because they changed so much from the books. Like
Yeah.
and like if I had seen the show without reading the books, I'd been like, "This is a great show," right? But because I
Right.
read the books, I'm like, "This wasn't there. This character didn't meet that character at this point," you know. And it bothers me. Like every time they change something, I'm bothered by it.
Yeah,
I don't
kinda
get
glad
why.
I never like sat down and read it. Like when our friend recommended it to me, like literally, like 13 years ago, and like he's like, "You have to read this book," and I'm like, "Okay," and then I never did.
You just
And I'm
made
like, "Oh,
me.
hey."
You just made me think of something. There's a joke that, spoiler alert, Red Wedding. When
Oh
that
yeah.
came out, I
Yeah.
watched an interview with Conan. Interviewing George R. R. Martin after that, and they're like watching all the clips of like people reacting to the Red Wedding happening, and like he said the best quote I have heard in regards to that is, "Now you know why all your nerdy friends were depressed 13 years ago."
That's great.
Which is about when I read the first book, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, you probably was it Ace that got you into that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
He's like, "Hey, check this out." And I'm like, "Oh, what's it about?" And he gave me the spiel. It's kind of like War of the Roses, intrigue, all that. And I'm like, "All right, I'll check out." And then like I read the first book in a day because I'm like, "Oh wow, this is really good." And I just kept reading, and the next thing I knew, it was 5 in the morning. So
Oh man,
yeah,
I've been there.
yeah, it was so good.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'll probably read them after the show just to like compare them because that's what I like to do. Like that's what I did with Harry Potter, more or less.
I've never
Was I
read
read
Harry
'em all.
Potter. Yeah.
They're good. They're actually good.
You know,
Um,
the one book I read after I saw the movie that I didn't think was better was Last of the Mohicans. I liked the movie way more than I liked the book.
I haven't read that book. That's interesting. I
Like-
liked the movie.
I liked the pacing of the movie much more than I liked the pacing of the book, and like they changed some
Interesting.
stuff, and anyway.
Yeah, the only comparison I can make with the same kind of idea is Fight Club. Thought the movie was better, and
Really,
even Chuck Palahniuk thinks the
the
movie
movie's
is better.
better. Oh, other news. Zoolander 2 has
Oh,
been
yeah.
announced.
Oh God,
You
I
know-
don't get it. I don't like
I-
Zoolander.
I like. All right, so the first time I saw Zoolander, I hated it. Then I saw it again on TV, and I was like, "All right, that's kind of funny." And then by like the fourth time I saw it on TV, I was in love with the movie, and now I love it.
Okay.
And
Maybe I'll have to watch
like
it
most
again.
people I talk to are like, "Zoolander sucks. What the hell is wrong with you?" The guy who started working, that's like my cube mate at work. We randomly found out that we both like Zoolander, so now we're just quoting it back and forth like all day to each other.
Zoolander 2 is so hot right now.
Man, that Hansel, he's so hot right now. Hansel. It's like all of a sudden I'll be sitting there and I'll hear jitterbug.
Wow. I would.
Did you think I was too stupid to know that a Googleizer was? You Googleizer, one who speaks at funerals.
Googleizer.
Oh, man.
God.
But like that
Well.
would be the stuff like we'll just be saying there that like whichever one of us is like bored, we'll say a random Zoolander quote.
That's good. I have a coworker who I do that with Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh
So
god.
I like, but I won't get into that.
I'm,
That'll
try-
lead me into quoting Aqua Teen Hunger Force for like 10 minutes.
I'm trying to get him to watch Tucker and Dale versus Evil. So
I haven't
like,
seen that, and I really want to.
it's on Netflix, dude. There's no
Well,
excuse.
I need your Netflix account information.
Not that I would give that to you.
No, come on.
No.
Who would do that?
It's got Alan Tudyk in it, for God's sakes. That's a tie-in with
Oh.
Con Man. Come on.
Oh, definitely got to see it then.
Anyway, that
Yeah.
is it for this week's episode of the Flight Deck. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.